Oh, let's see here. Who's ready to do this again? The that should be the last movie or the last hour right here. Yeah, we got about an hour and 1 minute left in this one. We're about to see the KKK in action as the literally the white knights of the movie. This is gonna be pretty interesting. Not gonna lie, but we'll give everybody like 10 minutes to get in here before we start. Should read some more of the. This was an interesting article about it, about how good it is. Because in all reality, the things about the movie, like its content is pretty bad, but the movie itself isn't that bad. Like the cinematography and the it was just phenomenal when it first came out. Nobody else was doing anything like this. Uh, but it is a 3 hour movie, which is crazy. Um, let's take a look here. Uh, so, like the scene right here, for instance, a scene of slave owners and their northern guests amiably passing by cotton fields while slaves toil in the background presents, as if in a documentary, the obvious connection between the white Southerners' gracious ways and the hard enforced work of slaves that makes it possible. This was not Griffith's intention, but its effect. He shows a summary trial by the KKK of black men whose sexual advances towards a white woman induced her to leap to her death. We haven't seen that yet. That's actually going to be coming up, and it's one of the most controversial points of the movie because this is the idea that black men are sexual predators, that they don't know how to contain themselves, and that rape will always happen with it. If you've seen Thought Slime's new video about can't remember the Turner Diaries or whatever, he talks about some of the racist components of that movie, which feeds into this, or they you can see some of that here with the rape and stuff because apparently in that book there's a lot of rape and equalities. Everybody's afraid to arrest black people because of equal rights and stuff, so they just allow black people to commit crimes and blah blah blah. It's pretty crazy, I know. Good luck for the monetization of this video. Psych, because I don't have enough hours or viewers or anybody to monetize my YouTube anyways. Probably because I don't really talk that much or do a lot of content, but that's alright, because we're here. We're going to start the movie. This is going to be fun. Hopefully, you guys can hear the desktop audio. Yeah, you'll be able to hear it. There we go. Against the brother's warning, she goes alone to the spring. So, this is where we're about to see the vulnerable white woman who needs the protection of a male at all times. And of course, it goes out into nature, which is where, like, the black person is supposed to be because they're beasts or they're animals, and animals are found in nature. Notice how the scene color changes to red, signifying that something weird is going to happen or some danger is going to be lurking. Wait till you see this. It's bad, but it's comic. It's comical at the same time. Oh, and here he comes. The bad black man who was just watching their house or whatever. You think I'm overthinking life, man? That's not it at all. If you don't know about this movie has it's pretty crazy. And there's a lot of academic study behind it. And that's where I got a lot of this stuff is I took a class about it and we went over this scene by scene. And if you think we're overthinking it, then you haven't watched the movie and you don't understand the historical times in the South when this was going over. Of course, this is blackface as well. See how he's like lurking in the background? She's just innocently going to get some water. And this is how a lot of people viewed black people in the South during this time. Oh. She sees somebody. Oh, she sees a squirrel. She's gonna play the squirrel. Basically, it's painting women and stuff as they're innocent, childlike, that we should protect their innocence. Oh, well, that's awesome, man. Ireland's pretty cool. I stopped there on my way to Iraq when I deployed. It's a beautiful country. See how he's like lurking in the shadows? And to be fair, I don't believe centrists actually exist. Most people who say they're centrist are usually just afraid to actually commit to an idea. That may not be you. Yeah, Google Birth of a Nathan or Birth of a Nation and check it out. It's pretty. Just read the Wikipedia on it. So now he's gonna go look for. I can't remember if that was his daughter or something like that. But notice how the scene is yellow, now it's back to red. And he's like, oh, hello, ma'am. You see, I'm a captain now, and I want to marry. Because, you know, this is how easy marriage is. I just tell you that I want to marry you. And now she's scared. And she tells him no, and he starts to get a little forceful. Grabbing her. Notice how the music changes. And now she assaults him, and the chase is on. Ryan Paul. Yeah, I agree with that, man. I don't know about economically right. I don't believe in free markets or anything like that just because they can't exist by their own definition. But if I'm presented with a new idea and I can't counter it, then either I sit on it for a while or I adopt it. And that's the same with facts. Like, just because it doesn't fit my narrative doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to take it seriously or not try to adopt it. However, facts can be debated because you may think it's true based upon your experiences, and I may see it as not true. Is there an objective truth or an absolute truth when it comes to things? And it all depends on the original intent of what you're talking about. Say, for instance, the 6 and 9. You can see a 6, I can see a 9. We can both be correct until somebody goes, I drew that as a 9. Then one person is objectively wrong. But we both had facts at the beginning, right? Because you saw a 6, I saw a 9. And technically, we're both correct on our viewpoints. But there had to be an objective person to say, I drew that as a 9. And therefore, one person is wrong. You know? So now she's running through the woods and he's chasing her. Wait, Missy, I won't hurt you. Notice how he talks. He doesn't talk proper or anything. The other white males in the movie talk very proper. And it just so happened that this white knight savior is going to come out of nowhere and just knows that she was being chased or that she's in danger out in the middle of nowhere. It's really weird, but whatever. So this is like the epic chase scene of the predator versus the prey kind of thing. Even though, oh, what do you say? I don't know, man. UBI still. I don't have problems with UBI because it helps correct some of the problems with our capitalist system, especially in America. However, it still keeps the problem that it originally tries to deal with. It doesn't fix the original problem that not everybody is getting paid. There's probably not enough work for everybody or decent work for everybody to make a living wage or a wage to pay their bills. It just puts a band-aid on a problem. Uh, when in Andrew Yang's case, he talks about UBIs because technology is going to start taking everybody's jobs, and then nobody will be able to do anything. So we'll have to take the capital from those who own it and then redisperse it out to everybody else so that they can spend money to keep that structure up. The system itself is still the problem, in which why we would need UBI ever in the first place. It's just a band-aid to get us to something else, right? I don't have a problem with it, but it's not a long-term solution in my mind. So now he runs across her bucket and he's like, oh God, she's not near it. She's probably in trouble. And now she's hiding in a bush and she's scared out of her mind. Let me tell you, that black Union soldier just wants to marry her. It actually is kind of weird. Notice how his eyes are like super weird looking and he looks like a demon as well. That's an intentional representation, right? Now he finds his coat and he's like, oh, the Union soldiers. It's got to be a black guy. And she's in danger. I used to live in North Carolina and the woods were just like that. I kind of miss that. Texas doesn't really have forests like that. So here comes one of the major climaxes of the movie. She's about to get on top of a rock and she's faced with the decision of basically being sexually assaulted or we'll see what happens. She's stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. So she's so scared of this guy that she says, stay away or I'll jump. And he's trying to coax her off of the rock. But at this point, she's so scared that she's going to choose death over the alternative. And she dies. So she commits suicide. That first body was really funny because it was fake, and then that one's real. That's really good for 1913 or whenever this movie was made. I'm pretty sure it's 1913. Now he's like, oh crap, she just killed herself. What am I gonna do? And he's gonna come across her and see that he was the reason. It's really weird that he just automatically knows where to go to. Can you hear the audio? The music playing? And then he sees her down there. I think that was his lover. Hold on, let me see. Was this movie pretty mainstream? Like it Like, what's the back? So this movie actually was one of the first movies to be shown in the White House. It was made in 1913. It's 3 hours long. It's one of the first movies of its kind. It's incredibly important, especially when it came out. The background is kind of this is after Reconstruction. The Union has won the war, so the South feels that it's being attacked. Their culture is being attacked, and it's being attacked by free black men. A couple scenes ago, you could see free black men. They were raping and pillaging the town, setting it on fire, and everything like that. So the South feels that they're being attacked instead of liberated, or yeah, it's really weird how it tries to paint it. And then it also tries to paint as if like Abraham Lincoln dying and being assassinated was not a bad thing in itself because of the things that it brought upon the South. A lot of people hated Lincoln in this movie. But it was shown in the White House. It was the first movie shown in the White House, and it's incredibly influential back then. I see where you come from about an unconscious bias that exists in people's minds about what a black person or woman's role and how it's widespread. What is this kind of thing? Yeah, this is how a lot of Southerners really viewed black people. They were incredibly scared of them being free people because they thought they were animals. They thought that the only way they could coexist with white people was for them to be working and enslaved. Like that was their natural order, their God-given order to them. And this movie paints it as such. It's really weird. These death scenes are really weird. But I mean, this is like one of the first movies that was ever made. And it was a huge success when it came out. I mean, you're from Ireland. You should know that when the Irish came over to America, they weren't considered white people either. They were considered just a step above black people. Like they were human, but not enough to be considered white because of your Catholicism. You were considered subpar people. For her who had learned the stern lesson of honor, we should not grieve that she found sweeter the opal gates of death. So, in order to keep her honor, she committed suicide. So it was the honorable thing to do so that she wouldn't have gotten assaulted by the black man. Notice how the scene color changes to a white purity type grain. I can't even think of what I'm trying to say, but film. And they're all going to find out that she's dead. I know this looks like corny now, but I do know there's a difference between those two. I don't really know much about the politics side of things just because everybody's system's complex, man. But I get it. And none grieved more than these. So apparently these are the black slaves of the house, right? And they're super upset that she's dead. So it's basically saying like these are respectable black people right here. Oh, that sucks, man. Inequality, it's inherent in a lot of the system that we produce. That's nobody wants to fix it. And so this guy here is like a prominent senator or whatever, and he's a mulatto, which is like a half black, half white guy. And he's demonized in this movie as well, because he uses power in a bad way. Notice how he's got the white hood now. So it's another reference to the KKK. That old guy in the background. Gus hides his white arm. Joe's gin mill. So, of course, black free people. These are all blackface characters, by the way. There's like one real black guy. But apparently, black people only hang out in the saloons and bars. Nobody else would drink and gamble and do all of this stuff, right? And now he just told his friends that he's in trouble. And he's about to tell everybody what just happened. So all these young white men are going to be like, what? Are you serious? We have to protect our white heritage, our white race. Townsmen enlisted in the search of the accused Gus that he may be given a fair trial in the dim halls of the invisible empire. Notice how they're like hardworking during the day and the black people were just sitting around drinking, not working. That's that concept of laziness that it goes way far back, even to the 1913s, that black people are lazy. And that only white people can learn how to employ themselves. So here he goes into the saloon. He's going to be like the savior. They're trying to hide a fugitive. That guy's white face or black face is terrible. So now he's getting aggressive. And they're gonna square off. Because this is how fights happen. Yeah, Ryan, do you see the same today when black people are regularly depicted as drug-addicted dealers and street thugs in popular? And that's the reason why I wanted to cover this movie, so that people can see where these concepts originated from and where they gained popularity. And that for sure is one of the things that I want to touch upon, is that the things that happen in this movie have evolved throughout time to mean different things. Like they say it a different way, but they mean the same thing as what's being depicted in this movie, right? So just calling them street thugs and addicted drug dealers, that's pretty much like what they are in the saloon right now, is they're just being lazy, not doing work. They're being conniving. And now they're about to get vicious. Of course, like, the black guy is the first one. And now this white guy's literally just going to take everybody down because, the white race is superior. See how these black people are super kind because they're still slaves, right? Or they grew up in the South when they were freed, so they still have that respect to the white people. So this one white guy just like takes down all these black guys because it's kind of like an action movie where you have the one white hero that can go through and just shoot everybody and not die. Yeah, that is true, Ryan. The equivalent today would be guys smoking crack in the trap house when the heroic white cops come to bust them. That's this narrative that cops are ordained from God to serve this mission. And it's the same thing you'll see here with the KKK. It's a religious aspect that God wants black people to be in their place. And it's white people who have the authority to do that through God's will. And cops and law enforcement kind of draw that same line of authority that the KKK had in this time period. That they were the righteous ones fighting for a return to order and law. And notice how he's the first one to draw a gun because black people fight dirty, right? He couldn't win with his hands, so he had to shoot him. So now Gus has not only made a white woman jump off a rock to commit suicide, he's now killed a innocent white man. So now the town is gonna get angry and they're gonna try to have some justice. Apparently, word around town gets around really fast. And look at him, dead shot, right? He's that American hero that can just shoot him with one shot from far away, you know? So now what they're going to do is they're civilized people. They bring him to trial, and look who is their judge and jury. The KKK. Welcome, right? Do you think this is going to be a fair trial? Oh god, their costumes are so bad. Chris Kyle in 1913. So now you see that he's unmasked himself, and now you know that he is the bringer of justice. Guilty automatically. There were no witnesses called or whatever. It was that guy's word taken for it. So now they're going to have their vigilante justice. On the steps of the lieutenant governor's house, the answer to the blacks and carpetbaggers. So now they're gonna do this publicly to scare the black people. They're gonna drop his dead body on the front porch. And check it out. KKK, right? They brought justice. Like, they're the white knights, literally on horses. So he comes back knowing that he just gave him justice, and he feels, of course, you know, she's dead, but now he has a mission. He has something to do in his life. Who'd have thought watching a silent movie or whatever would be so interesting? I think there's another dead person in that coffin, but I can't remember who it was. So look how crazy Blackface is dressed, right? And that's the mulatto guy who has a lot of power. I think he's the governor of the town right now, or of Texas. Yeah, the first movie in the White House. Lynch accepts the challenge by ordering the militia reinforcements to fill the streets. So now this is martial law. So the governor uses his political power to get the military to fill the streets with soldiers, right? So we see this stuff talked about today, the tyranny of the government and stuff like that. Having embroiled Lynch in the uprising, Stoneman takes his temporary departure to avoid the consequences. So the leader, the governor, is a coward, and he runs and then leaves everybody else behind to do his dirty work. So it paints politicians that fight for equality and stuff as bad people, right? Now the Klansmen are going to prepare. So you see the Confederate flag. They're having like a weird ritual ceremony. It's really funny that these look like boobs or whatever. Brethren, this flag bears the red stain of the life of a Southern woman, a priceless sacrifice on the altar of an outraged civilization. So now they have burning crosses. Here I raise the ancient symbol of an unconquered race of men, the fiery cross of old Scotland's hills. I quench its flames in the sweetest blood that ever stained the sands of time. So sweetest blood, innocent, purity, unconquered race of men. White people is who he's talking about, because the black people were conquered and put in chains. How can you be an effective fighter with that sheet over your face? It looks like crap. So I guess that's the messenger to let them know that a war's coming. That they're gonna The summons delivered the Titan of the adjoining county to disarm all blacks that night. So basically, he's letting them know that all black people should be disarmed. Interesting question for you personally. Based on this happening in the film where the governor mobilizes the military to act against the enemy, do you support Second Amendment rights currently to fight against the same? So I do support the Second Amendment, right? But I honestly don't think an outright war in America between the government and the civilians is why I think the Second Amendment is important. I don't think you can fight conventionally. However, I do think that the civilians can use terrorist tactics in which you could kidnap the family members of those government officials and hold them for ransom and win the war like that. And that is why the Second Amendment could still be useful in a fight of tyranny, I guess. I hate using the word tyranny as well because it has it's a loaded word. But in the instance in which you're asking me, if a government were to become tyrannical like that, where they put soldiers in the streets for an unjust reason or something like that, the Second Amendment would be helpful in that manner. Not as if like you're going to go against a Bradley tank or whatever, but for the simple fact you'd have to be a smart person and use your tactics wisely, in which most of that would be kidnapping family members of your opposition. It's a shitty thing. Bo the Fifth Column talked about it, and it's a great point, and it's really hard to find anything to counter that. What's up, Masakilla? All right, so now they're using some guerrilla tactics. They're hiding out in the trees. The guy lit a fire. I don't remember why he did that. Oh, I guess that's the signal for them. Well, welcome to the stream, Master. Get ready to learn why some people think the KKK is awesome. Spies dispatched to hunt out whites in possession of the costume of the Ku Klux Klan. The penalty, death. So he's basically telling them that if there's anybody who has a Ku Klux Klan costume, they're automatically put to death. Yeah, man, I'm doing really well. I hope you're staying safe and you are not hurting for anything. Look at how wacky black people look in this movie. They almost look like clowns, you know? Hey, thanks for the follow too, Ryan. I appreciate it. In the future, I'll do some more discussions and I can do some Q&As and we can talk, man. I like conversing with people. And just to let you know that I am a veteran yeah. Was something mentioned about a certain fascist organization? Yeah, the KKK. We're watching a movie about the KKK and how it's painted as basically the white knights of the South, and they were bringing justice and order back to the South. It's called Birth of a Nation. Google it, look it up. It's pretty interesting. This is like the last hour of it, so a lot of the good parts have already passed. And I don't mean good parts as in like it's good what happens in the movie, but the things that tie all of like the racism and stuff have already passed. Oh, cool, man. I served in Iraq. I actually served with a lot of Brits, and I served with a lot of Ugandians, Romanians, Australians. The scallywag white captain. So he's a scallywag because he's a white captain in the Union Army fighting with black people, and anybody who fought with black people or free people were considered traitors, basically in the South. So now they're doing like force home searches. They're using their military authority to just basically screw your privacy, right? You know? This is another concept that you hear about today with the right wing in America. You can even hear it now with the COVID masks, man. That making you wear a mask is bringing tyranny and stuff, right? This tyranny idea comes up throughout this movie a lot. The abuse of using the military on civilians. See how they're treating civilians? They're just beating them for no reason. This is an old white man, right? It is shameful propaganda, you're right. And the reason why I'm going over this is so you know the cultural and historical context of some of this stuff. I understand, man, but this is something that you should take an academic approach to understand where some of the talking points that we know and hear today in right-wing propaganda, where they come from and how they stem. That, you know, when you say you can't trust mail-in ballots because dead people are gonna be voting, that came from the idea that black people, once they started voting, that they were stuffing the ballots, right? And it just evolved through time to what it is today. It has a very it started in this time. It's not really slavery or racism that I'm talking about. It's the concepts of stuff in this movie that are still being touted today, right? Like, black people are lazy, right? Or that they're out of control, or that they're sexual predators, or the only way a black person can live in society is under the rule of white people, or the notion that religious white men are under attack in America from the northern, yeah. That is true, but that's why we got to talk about these things, right? And that, it's prominent today, but a lot of people don't understand where they came from. And I think if they understood that it came from stuff like this, they might take a second look at the ideas that they have and be like, well, maybe I do have a little bit of bias or racism in my thoughts, and I just never thought about it, So now this white old man is going to be given to them for justice. You saw justice according to the KKK, and now you're going to see justice according to them. Hoping to effect a rescue, the faithful souls pretend to join the mockers. So now they're going to try to save the old white man. And a lot of people don't understand why blackface was so bad either. That's true. I try to think of everybody as a part of the human race and that there really isn't anything else. Color means something when you're looking at data, but in reality of things, it doesn't mean anything because we're all brothers and sisters. We're all supposedly from the same mother in Africa, I think was the last thing that I heard. They think they're educated, man. And they think we're the ones that are dumb. Right? Look at her. She takes out 2 black Union soldiers and now they're just gonna save this guy. The 2 black slaves are fighting the free black men, right? They're trying to show them as like, these are the good blacks, but these other ones, they're not good blacks. Because those blacks were trained in a house, which is where you get that stereotype, the house person or whatever. Yeah, man, and you can see a lot of cowboy-related themes that were borrowed from this movie as well, because this is kind of like a western. And this movie was made in like 1913. It's really one of the first movies ever made. Yeah, but usually with crime and stuff, there's usually like a poverty element or a class element, right? Not just a race element or a color element. Yeah, the savage Indian as well. I did a intro to an American Studies class where we went over uh, that time period, and it just blew my mind at how Indians were portrayed throughout that time period as part of propaganda so that we could steal their land and not feel bad about it. So now the governor's he's hosting a party here uh, with a bunch of traitors, right? Notice how they're all drinking and acting goofy. If you had seen some of the earlier parts when white people got together, they didn't drink a lot of alcohol. They acted very respectful and all types of things. So now the wagon wheel broke. 2 Union veterans becomes their refuge. So now we're coming to like the final stand. But I was telling Ryan earlier, Masta, if you look at how the KKK is portrayed in this movie and how white people see the KKK in this movie, look at how the right in America views law enforcement. It's almost on that same plane, right? It's because these ideas transferred over to a more broader group, right? Now instead of like it's the vigilante group, now you can be like, oh, it's the cops. Django was entertaining, right? I don't remember a lot about it, but it was really entertaining. And I do remember some of the scenes in it in which they were like beating the black people and stuff like that. That movie was crazy, but it was from, who was the director? That guy does a lot of crazy movies. Yeah, he does, and that's why that movie is okay, right? Because the black guy came out on top. In which you'll see in this movie, it's a little interesting. I don't remember much about the movie. Yeah, Quentin Tarantino. There you go. How did I forget his name? Because, I mean, it's just like, do you want to apply the same type of thing to the Inglourious Bastards, right? Depends on, I don't know, the rise of the anti-hero in Hollywood right now, like Maleficent and, what's his face, Deadpool and stuff like that, they're becoming pretty prominent as well. Notice how he's like creeping? This is the black side of him. He's like creeping on him. I mean, basically, like all movies are storytelling devices, right? And some movies are a lot more complex than what you see on the front of it. Like after you dive into it with a more academic approach, sometimes you can get a lot more out of a movie like this one. Yeah, that's true. Look at his angry face. Yeah, well, Quentin Tarantino is a very interesting fellow. See how the Union soldiers come in? They all look crazy, they're not disciplined. They just run through the streets shooting. Look at all the black people hooting and hollering like they're just animals. He will build a black empire, and you as queen shall sit by my side. So basically, he's using power of stupid black people just because they gave black people freedom, that he's going to use them in his scheme to become, an emperor or the president or at the very top of the hierarchy. Look how, devilish he looks. Well, yeah. Nah, I don't think I've ever seen a Bronx Tale. If you guys remember, Nosferatu, one of the first horror films with the vampire, notice how you get some of the same cinematic effects, right? With the circle, the black circle. So now they're summoning the KKK. And notice the music, how it's very uplifting, like, oh, we're gonna be some valiant men, we're charging into battle. So does, what's the movie, Kings of New York or something like that, where it's about the Irish gangs and the white people? Gangs of New York or whatever. That's a really good film that talks about race relations, especially from your standpoint of the Irish. Yeah, Gangs of New York. That movie has some really deep concepts about race and how the Irish were not people. They were not white people. Lynch, drunk with wine and power, orders his henchmen to hurry preparations for a forced marriage. So here we go with forced authority, abuse of power. It was a bunch of stereotypes, but that's what a lot of Americans know. Since we are the melting pot, when we talk about other cultures and stuff, all we really have are the stereotypes unless we take a deeper look into them. And a lot of my analysis come from a religious one as well, because, the Irish were persecuted because of their Catholicism more than anything, because of the white evangelicals or the Christians. It's more of a continent. Yeah. Now look at the army of white people. He looks funny. Now they're coming to liberate the town. Morocco, Northwest Africa. Wow, man. Well, that's awesome that you are here. Thank you. And hearing your perspective is really interesting as well, man. That's really, when you think about people from Africa, you don't think that they would know a lot of these cultural and historical things. And you seem very educated. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but that would be one of those stereotypical things that an American would say because they think that all of Africa is poor, trashy, or whatever, Never been to Africa either. It's on one of my list of things to do. That would be considered Caucasians. Yeah, there's a lot of white people in Africa. Hey, how did you feel about the forcing of taking land from white people? I think that was something that was being done, or they were talking about doing, was taking land away from the white people to help with the inequality in the country. I remember the right in America was blowing up over it. Look at all the blackface. That guy's another mulatto too, by the way. I want to marry a white woman. And now he's congratulating him. That is true. Equality is different from equity. That reminds me of that picture of everybody standing on a fence with different sized boxes or whatever. I just remember it was something that they were talking about. Imagine these scenes right here. Look at all these people. They're not computer generated people. They had to find people to do this. That's all in how you define what ownership is. Right? Because one can think that the land belongs to everybody, and you shouldn't be able to own land that you can't cultivate and take care of yourself, because it belongs to everybody. And I agree, diplomacy should be the first recourse. Yeah, Ryan, that is a hard question. We may never have. I've thought about that before, right? That if you look at movies where there's an existential threat to the human race, that is how we come together, right? Like there's an asteroid or there's an invading alien colony, right? That there has to be something to get us to think about ourselves as a human race, as one race, the humans, right? White spies disguised. She recognizes them. And hopefully they can save her. Notice how they're in blackface too. Yeah, sure, man. Go ahead. Post the link. Globalism? Who would be in charge of them? I have no idea. Oh. I don't know how to let people post links. I forgot that I turned that on. How do I turn that off? I didn't know that was restricted. My bad, man. It's been a while since I've had to do all this. And I don't remember how to allow you to post links. Channel privileges. Chat rules. Yeah, I guess I'll have to figure that out. I'm new to this whole thing. Sorry, guys. That is weird. I wonder how I can turn that off. I accidentally cleared the chat, so you might have to redo that. Because I was just clicking buttons, hoping that might have worked. Oh. Okay. Master. There you go, man. Sorry about that. I had no idea. Take a what is this? Let's take a look at this link. That's really interesting. The Ecological Debt Day. It's when humanity's resource consumption for the year exceeds the Earth's capacity to regenerate those resources for that. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Because here a lot of the religious right in America believes that while resources might be finite, that God will replenish them at a rate that would be sustainable. So they don't care, right? But I genuinely believe that we do have a problem with our resource consumption, and that just because we can buy something and afford it, we may not necessarily need it, you know? Agnostic and nihilist here, so. Oh, nice. I'm agnostic, not nihilist, but I can understand a lot of the sentiments in nihilism. I don't talk bad about it. It is what it is. So water is actually, clean water is actually a huge problem that will become even worse here in a couple years. I did a video about that. But energy from coal and, yeah, water's probably one of the things that we take for granted. And in America, it's really interesting that we think because we pay for water that it's okay to abuse it, right? But we pay absolutely nothing for water. It's incredibly cheap. Like my monthly water bill is probably like $40 a month, right? And I water my grass, right? And it's incredibly cheap. We don't understand that the true cost of water and what it means in dollars. And that's one of our first problems, not just dollars, but in monetary means. I did do a video on the overuse of resources. It's on my YouTube, and I go into detail a lot about some of the things that are going to become problems here pretty soon because of the overuse. And that, well, yeah, Africa's had a problem with droughts and water for quite a while, and especially clean water. It's not just water. It's clean water that you can drink without getting sick, right? Here's the final stand between the white man and the army of blacks. And they're gonna die heroes. Electric is a solution, is a short-term solution, I believe. We should be moving towards things like hydrogen or water power or something of that nature, right? I mean, because we also don't pay a lot for electricity in America either, you know? I may bitch about my electric bill being like $200 because I have 3,200 kilowatts of energy I use. But just because I can pay for it, it doesn't necessarily mean that I should be using that much, right? And I live in Texas, and we were already having problems in the summertime because everybody uses their AC units to keep their house cool, that we might have rolling blackouts. We don't have enough electricity for everybody to use. Yeah, let me do that. Hold on. Mission permits master killer. Electric's viable, but it's a short term, man. Let's see what this is. Oh, in Dubai?
City into two streams, so we have black water and gray water. Right. So what you just saw is the gray water.
I've actually heard about this too, man.
System, so the water is filtered, and we just top it up, replenish it because of evaporation during the summer. Right. And we have a very environmentally friendly treatment system as well installed.
But it's also clearly very popular. There's
and it's very popular. Yeah. I mean, living in Dubai without a pool, at least one pool is.
I'll have to take a look at that later, but that's really interesting. It's funny because it's in Dubai, and a lot of people think that cities in those countries are incredibly backwards and poor and stuff like that. But man, when I was in Iraq, Iraq had some incredibly rich areas. And they weren't all like backwards people. And the rest of the movie, especially these scenes, is about the KKK bringing order and justice back to the South. The original way the hierarchy was supposed to be. White males are in charge. Black people are not free. They're not equal. I've heard things about nuclear too. I just wish that we could find other ways to do the things that we wanted to do that didn't have to have, I don't know. Yeah, Dubai's got a lot of money and a lot of people. Hold on, where is Dubai at? Sorry, I'm kind of ignorant on some things. Where's Dubai at? We already do that now, Ryan. We already sacrifice human rights and make slaves. America exports their manufacturing to China because they have loose labor laws so that our poor people in America can afford goods. I think one day we'll have to understand that the world that we live in does not regenerate fast, and this is the only one that we have, and we're going to have to figure out how to take care of it, as well as having enough space for the exponential growth of humans on this planet. Well, China's trying to make some power plays as a country with a self-rational interest, right? They're trying to fill the vacuum that America has already placed because of Trump and some of his policies. Extreme individualism and isolationist policies do not work well. I am not a crypto fan. I don't really necessarily. There are some reasons why having money flow through government is a good thing, but I can see why crypto is. I can see its benefits, right? But all in all, like, what is money? Money is nothing. It's just things that me and you agree on that has value, in which I use my labor to produce something, and that's translated into money. Anything could be considered money, and just because you put cryptocurrency doesn't necessarily take away the value of. It's just using another method. Like, I can definitely see where some less regulation is needed, or not less regulation, but like, why you have to have a bank so that you can transfer funds from me to you, right? If I don't want to use cash. Things like Venmo and Cash App have done great at facilitating that without adding a cost to us. But that was one of the big things, was like, I can't transfer money from one person to another without some arbitrary third party, right? That I could just send you crypto, no problem. I mean, our monetary system is trash anyways, because the majority of the wealth, right, is just accumulated debt that somebody will have to pay off down the line. The amount of debt that the entire world has is astronomical. It's insane how much debt there is. Yeah. What's that project? The Venus Project, where they were trying to do another type of economic system where it was resource management instead of using money, that we would have technology basically do all the labor for us, and basically things like resources would be what we traded between countries or people. Things like wood, water, food, and stuff like that. That was a super interesting concept. If you've never heard of it, look up the Venus Project. I think it failed to gain any traction, but so this is actually important right here. So you guys didn't see in the previous movie, right? The previous scenes. So when the black people took over in the South, the elections were rigged. People were stuffing the ballots. Black people were going crazy. They weren't letting white people vote. They were rigging the elections for Democrats, right? Now look at how the election process is now that the KKK is. They brought some control and order, right? And they're being the regulators. They are watching to make sure that the black people behave. This is a lot of the same rhetoric and talking points that the right uses about how we can't have mail-in voting because we have to make sure that the integrity of the ballot, right? They want to be these white knights up here on this horse, making sure that nobody's rigging elections. You know what gives money value? I can pay my taxes in it. If I couldn't pay my taxes with money, I probably wouldn't care about money. And the white people got their storybook finish. Out at the beach, enjoying law and order. Dare we dream of a golden day when the bestial wars shall rule no more, but instead the gentle prince in the hall of brotherly love in the city of peace. So here they go. They bring it back to that idea of peace, right? And now they have all these dead bodies. And basically that, I don't even know what that is on top of that horse. How weird is that, though? Yeah, look up the Venus Project, man. It is. See, look, there's Jesus, God. God is the Savior, and that is how we get order and law and order brought back to this country. That is an incredible point that is still talked about today. Liberty and union, once and inseparable, now and forever. The Satanic Horseman. Yeah, there's a lot of weird themes in this movie, you know? And that is the end of a birth of a nation. Illuminati confirmed. Yes, the global Jewish cabal. Which is actually funny because they're another group of people that are demonized by the right. Kind of like the Irish were. Based upon like their religious aspects, that Jews aren't true followers of Christ, even though according to the Bible, they're the only ones with the keys to heaven. Or the gates to the city. Something like that. Whatever. Yeah. And that was the movie, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I'll be doing some more stuff pretty soon. I had a really good talk with y'all. Hopefully you guys subscribe, hit me up on Twitter, and I do like to talk about things. And normally I don't get mad and throw insults or anything. Yeah, man, I just wanted to finish the rest of the movie, and now I got to go hang out with my wife for a little bit and spend some time with her. You know, trying to do all those good husband things and whatnot so that I can stay married and she doesn't kill me. Yeah, those things. But I appreciate it, guys. So yeah. So hopefully I'll see you guys on next stream. And take it easy. Bye, y'all.